Hey everyone, this is Matt from End Sickness. Today I'm going to talk about how pathogens could be influencing your food cravings so they could continue to survive and cause you illness. And this could be what's behind food cravings. First, let me say I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. It's based on my personal experience. This is for informational and educational purposes only. So how did I come up with this theory that your food cravings are being dictated by the bacteria, the parasites in your gut? Well, I went through it myself. When I started to overcome SIBO, when I started to overcome parasitic infections, I got intense food cravings. I would crave for sugars, I'd crave for meat, snacks, nuts, seeds, anything, right? But what I realized is that there were certain foods that were setting me off immune-wise, and these foods were making the parasites thrive, making the bacteria thrive, etc. And the foods that were really setting me off more than anything were your gluten, your dairy, your nuts, your seeds, your processed food, your eggs, your meat. When I consumed those foods, they were extremely hard to break down, and I was unknowingly living in a moldy environment, so I was having a difficult time breaking foods down. When I would eat them, I would start having cravings for more and more food. I would need to eat more, etc. Next thing I know, I'd eat myself to sleep, or I'd eat myself to a point where I felt bloated or unwell. And this is what was happening over and over again until I realized that, hey, it wasn't me that was dealing with the cravings. It was actually this organism inside of me that was trying to influence the activity, influence my behavior so it could continue to survive. Once I realized that, I realized, hey, I got to do something about this. I can't let this organism manipulate my behavior for its benefit while I suffer with bloating and weight loss and anxiety issues, etc. So I had to do something about it. And I realized, okay, what are the foods that don't feed parasites, that don't feed bacteria? Okay, these are the ones that have higher fiber, because the fibers slow down the release of the sugars, and the fibers are beneficial for good bacteria to grow. So what I realized, I'm going to start eating more plants, less of the gluten, dairy, nuts, seeds, eggs, meat, all the things that feed parasites and even contain them with the meat, So I started to eat more plants. I used to eat mostly vegetables, and I had some fruits. Then I'd have rice, potatoes, beans, etc. I realized that my cravings nearly disappeared, right? And why was that? It's because the food I was eating was no longer feeding these types of organisms, and these organisms couldn't manipulate my behavior into choosing more nuts, more seeds, more raisins, more meat, more whatever. And once I finally got control of these cravings, and got control of what I was eating, and it wasn't feeding the organism, then guess what? I was unable to really be controlled by food anymore. And this was absolutely critical, because for all those years when I'd do a flush, I'd try to kill SIBO, then I'd start eating too many carbs. I'd try to kill parasites, and I'd start eating too much meat. It was like this endless cycle where I'd go into just a giant cycle back to square one again. I'd make some progress, but I still wasn't through it. And the reality is because as I was starting to kill these organisms, they were manipulating me into eating the things that were allowing them to survive. And if you think meat is the one thing that you could feed yourself that won't cause these organisms to grow, think again. These organisms feed off fat, proteins, animal products, etc. It's not that simple. So if you're dealing with food cravings, realize this could be caused by pathogens inside of you, okay? It could also be caused by stress, trauma in the past that you're avoiding through consumption of foods. It's also another thing could be causing it, and it's just as likely. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, reach out to me. My website is endsickness.org, and hope to hear from you.